This video will cover some basic information and simple steps to help get you started with each of these devices: the Focusrite, the USB microphone, the MIDI keyboard, and the MIDI pad controller. The Focusrite is a powerful audio interface with multiple inputs and outputs. To get started, switch on the power. Wait for the power light to come on. It usually takes a few seconds. Next, check the FireWire connection. The cable only fits the correct port on the back of the iMac, so you can't go wrong. Open System Preferences. Click Sound. This is where you choose audio input and output drivers for the iMac. You'll often find them set to internal microphone and internal speakers, which activate the iMac's built-in microphone and speakers. If you want to use the Focusrite as an input, select Sapphire from the list of input drivers. Likewise, if you want to use the Focusrite as an output, select Sapphire from the list of output drivers. Note that this is the only way to output to the KRK speakers. You can plug microphones into the XLR ports on the front of the Focusrite. If you ever need to use more than 2 at a time, you'll find 6 more ports on the back. If you're using powered mics, activate phantom power with the Mic 48 volts button. The upper button applies to ports 1 through 4, while the bottom button applies to ports 5 through 8. If you aren't sure whether your mics need phantom power, leave it turned off until you can find out, because phantom power can damage certain types of mics. You can adjust the sensitivity for each of the 8 input ports individually using the corresponding gain knobs. Note that the Focusrite's input ports also accept standard 1/4-inch instrument cables. If you're using an instrument cable, you may need to switch the input to instrument mode. If you're using the Focusrite as an output, you have a few options. On the front, there are 2 headphone jacks with independent volume controls. On the back, there are monitor outputs. These connect to the KRK speakers and should remain plugged in. You can control the volume with the monitor volume knob. If you aren't getting any sound out of one or both of the KRK speakers, check the connections and power switch on the back of the speakers. Now for something much simpler. The USB microphone is a no-frills input device quite sufficient for simple recordings. To get started, plug in the USB cable. Make sure the mic is switched on. In System Preferences under Sound, select C-Media USB audio device as the input driver. Understand that the USB mic is only an input device, so the output driver should be set to something useful like internal speakers or Sapphire. The MIDI keyboard and MIDI pad controller are both essentially plug-and-play, but may behave differently depending on the program you're working with. For simplicity, we'll use GarageBand. Both devices connect with USB, so make sure they're plugged in. Click on GarageBand, then Preferences. Click on Audio/MIDI. Here you can control the input and output of GarageBand independently from the settings and System Preferences. You can change the output or input drivers, and below that, you'll see the MIDI status. I know GarageBand has recognized the keyboard and pad controller because it has detected multiple MIDI inputs. Notice that you can move the slider at the bottom to adjust the sensitivity of the controller. I tend to play with a soft touch, so I've adjusted it to be very sensitive. Now you can close out the Preferences window and start recording.